Hello, this is Gareth Keane, continuing the videos on selection or decision making in Visual Basic Programming for VBA, Microsoft Excel VBA. In this case I'm going to do the third problem here, the third question. Create a form to calculate the quarterly water charges for a household based on the following. The standing charge is €20 per quarter. For the first 100 litres of water are free of charge. From 100 to 250 litres the charge is 3 cent per litre, and then greater than 250 litres the charge is 5 cent per litre. Okay, so if I go into this code again, we have a few labels here. We have a frame. I'll just minimize this and come back to the design mode. So this is what we have here, a frame called frame FRA water charges. Have a label here, water usage and litres, and that text box is called text water usage. I have a command button here called command calculate water charges with the caption calculate water charges, and I have a text box down here called text water charges and the label here. So if I double click in there, I'm going to have dimension water usage as a single, so that's to work out the litres, and water charge as a single. So then the first thing is the input. So the input is water usage is equal to text water usage text, and then there's an if block here which is basically water usage is less than 100. Then now I forgot to do the standing charge, so I'm going to find a variable here, standing charge. Let's say that's 20. Sorry, as a single, sorry. I'm doing too many steps there, that's a single. And then I actually set the standing charge here. So that's the input section. That's the calculation section. And I say the standing charge is 20. Then for the water usage, if the water usage is less than 100, the water charge is equal to the standing charge and just the standing charge, because there's no charge for the water. Else, if the water usage is, you go to the next value and it's less than 250, then spell something here. Else if, sorry, I should have had an if here. So this is known as a multiple if block because we're going to have a series of if conditions one after the other. So if that's the case, your water charge, I'm going to copy and paste this down here. So edit copy, and I just paste it in there with the shift insert button, or else I can come up here and say insert paste. Plus, it's basically the water usage minus 100 multiplied by 0.3. Now the next one is else, and this will become a bit clearer when we do it. So if you look at this one, it's 250. I'll explain this as I go to do it. As I run through it, I'll explain the logic behind this. It's water charge minus 250 multiplied by 0.5 cent. And then just the output is text water water charge of text is equal to water charge, like so. So if we see how this works, the best way is to go through it line by line. So F8, and I'm over in this one here. So I'll say let's pick a value for the first case where it's say less than 100. So say I put in 50 litres. Calculate water charges. I click there, I come in. So water usage is equal to text water usage. So I'm going to come down here to these statements, and I'm going to print water usage like that, and it's 50. Then I work out then I assign the value 20 in for the standing charge, and then I test if the water usage is less than 100. Well, in this case we know it is, so we know that this condition is going to be true. Therefore it's going to basically set the water charge equal to the standing charge, because there's no charge for any of the water. There's no charge per litre. Now what it'll do, it'll skip to the end. It'll execute this one statement, and then it will skip down to the end of it. And that's what it's done here. So if we go and print it out, text water charge text is equal to water charge. I come out and you'll see that the value there is 20. Now of course that value is very high, it's just an example in this case. A more realistic value would be much lower than that. Okay, so the next thing we'll do is, well, let's pick a value 150. So it's the second case, it's between 100 and 250. Now remember, the first 100 litres is still free, so if I click in here, the water usage is equal to text water usage, so I'll delete the 50, and we'll see what it is now. It's 150. The standing charge is still 20. Now it's saying if water usage is less than 100. Well, it's not, it's 150, so this condition will be false. So what the multiple if decision does, what happens with the multiple if decision, is that control now passes to the next if condition. So now it will test if the water usage is less than 250. Well, it's 150, so that's true, so this is going to be true. And it comes in here and it works out the water charge as being equal to the standing charge plus the water usage minus 100. So that means it's going to be 150 minus 100, which is 50 litres, which should be charged at 3 cents per litre. Remember, the first 100 litres is free, therefore that's why you subtract this 100. It skips to the end, and we go text water charge text is equal to water charge, and I'll come out here and see what the value is, and you can see it's 21.50. Okay, and you can see realistically that standing charge is very high. So let's do the next one. Let's just go to the end of that. If I come in here, click in there, I come in again, I press F8 this time. I need to reset it first of all. I click in here, I press F8 now to run it. So now it's run, and now I'm going to pick where we have, say, 300 litres. And I say calculate water charges, comes in. It reads in the water usage. So now you can see it's given us 300 when I execute that statement. Once again, I delete these, I execute the statement here in the immediate window, it's 300 litres. The standing charge is still 20. If the water usage is less than 100, that condition is false, it's 300. So what it does, it skips to, if the condition is false, it ignores these statements here, and it skips to the next test. Is the water usage less than 250? No, it's not, it's 300. So what it does, there's a statement called else, which is the catch-all. So if you think about it, assuming it's positive, if it's not less than 100 and it's not less than 250, well then it has to be greater than 250. So what happens here is skips to the else, and then it comes in and works out the water charge as the standing charge, plus from 100 to 250 litres, it's 3 cents per litre. And then from anything above 250, and that should say water usage, not water charge, it's water usage minus 250 is charged at 5 cents. So if I execute that statement, come out and would say text water charge, text is water charge. You can see that it's worked out the water charge is 27. Okay, so thank you for listening, and as I've just said, that's an example of a multiple if block where you carry out a series of tests and you find the first instance where a condition is actually true, and if it's true you execute the statements straight after that statement up as far as the next else if or the else, or the end if in this case. Okay, thanks for listening.